Military might is often measured in dollars, and in 2023, the US set a record with $916 billion in defense spending. Armed with stealth bombers that can vanish from radar, nuclear submarines lurking deep beneath the oceans, and a cyber force capable of launching invisible attacks, America appears well-fortified against any threat. But what if an enemy power attempted the unthinkable? An invasion? Would this immense military budget be enough to defend the nation's borders? Join us as we dive into the unsettling possibilities of what could happen if someone dared to invade the US. Historical invasions and the evolving geopolitical landscape. The United States didn't always start as a global power, though. Its overwhelming strength was forged in the fires of past challenges. In the realm of international conflict, the United States has faced its share of trials, with several notable attempts at invasion throughout its history. Perhaps the most infamous of these occurred during the War of 1812, when British forces launched a daring attack on the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. The White House was engulfed in flames, and the Capitol building was reduced to smoldering rubble, exposing the harsh reality of America's vulnerability in its early years as an independent nation. However, this event, while significant, was not the only instance of foreign powers attempting to gain a foothold on American soil. During the Mexican-American War of 1846, Mexican troops crossed the border into Texas, sparking a conflict that would ultimately lead to a significant expansion of U.S. territory. The confrontation began when Mexican forces, under General Mariano Arista, crossed the Rio Grande to challenge American claims to the disputed territory. President James K. Polk had ordered General Zachary Taylor to position American troops in the contested region, leading to several skirmishes. In the battles of Palo Alto and Resaca de la Palma, Taylor's forces successfully drove back the Mexican army, securing the Texas border and setting the stage for a broader American advance into Mexican territory. While this territorial dispute with Mexico marked a defining moment in 19th-century American expansion, it would not be the last time foreign powers contemplated military action against the United States. In the years before World War I, the threat of invasion loomed as German Kaiser Wilhelm II, eager to expand his empire's influence, drew up plans for an invasion of the United States, which included a proposed attack on Cape Cod and a bombardment of Manhattan. As the United States grew in power and influence, the nature of these threats began to evolve. Despite America's growing military might, the nation remained vulnerable to strategic attacks. This became devastatingly clear when, during World War II, the Japanese Empire executed a highly successful surprise attack on Pearl Harbor. The assault exposed critical weaknesses in American naval defenses, destroying or damaging 18 ships, including 8 battleships, and claiming over 2,400 American lives. Even at this stage of its development as a global power, the United States underestimated its adversaries' capabilities and failed to anticipate such a bold strike at its Pacific Fleet. This event not only drew the US into the global conflict, but also demonstrated that even a formidable nation could be caught off guard by a determined enemy. This harsh lesson in military vulnerability would reshape American defense strategy in the post-war era. In the decades that followed, the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union introduced a new era of geopolitical tension, with the looming threat of nuclear annihilation casting a long shadow over the world. Yet, despite these historical incidents, the United States had emerged as a global superpower through a unique combination of advantages. Its vast natural resources, from oil fields to fertile farmland, provided the raw materials for industrial growth. The nation's geographic isolation between 2 oceans offered protection, while its extensive coastlines facilitated global trade. America's democratic institutions and free market economy attracted waves of ambitious immigrants, creating an innovative and diverse workforce. Following World War II, while other major powers lay in ruins, the United States mainland remained untouched, allowing its manufacturing base and economy to surge forward. These factors combined to establish its military might and economic influence as unrivaled on the world stage. The geopolitical landscape of the 21st century is vastly different from that of the 19th or even the 20th, with the United States now playing a dominant role in shaping international affairs. The oceans that once served as conduits for invasion have become formidable barriers, the U.S. Navy's unparalleled fleet serving as a deterrent to any would-be attackers. The unrivaled might of the United States military. This deterrence isn't merely built on maritime supremacy alone. It's just one component of a vast military machine that has redefined global power projection in the modern era. The United States military dominance spans every domain of warfare, supported by a defense budget that eclipses the combined spending of the next 7 nations. Shaped by the lessons of World War II and driven by Cold War competition with the Soviet Union, American armed forces underwent a revolutionary transformation. Through decades of strategic investment and combat experience, they developed unprecedented capabilities in every sphere. From nuclear submarines patrolling ocean depths to advanced satellite networks monitoring Earth from orbit, this comprehensive approach to military power, born from the determination to never again be caught unprepared as they were at Pearl Harbor, has created a force that potential adversaries must think twice before challenging. The foundation of this military supremacy rests on America's unparalleled technological innovation. The bitter lessons of the early Cold War, when the Soviet Union shocked the world with the launch of Sputnik, sparked a national commitment to technological leadership that continues today. This drive for superiority, fueled by the fierce competition of the space race and arms race, led to the creation of pioneering research institutions and a massive investment in scientific advancement. From the gleaming laboratories of DARPA to the wind tunnels of Edwards Air Force Base, American scientists and engineers are pushing the boundaries of what is possible, developing new tools and techniques that will shape the future of warfare. One need look no further than the skies above to see the fruits of these labors. The F-35 Lightning II, a 5th-generation stealth fighter, represents the pinnacle of aerial combat technology. With its advanced sensors, supersonic speed, and ability to evade radar detection, the F-35 is designed to dominate the skies, providing unparalleled air support to troops on the ground. Alongside it flies the F-22 Raptor, another marvel of American engineering, whose unrivaled maneuverability and stealth capabilities make it the bane of any enemy pilot. But American air power extends far beyond the cockpit. In recent years, the U.S. military has invested heavily in unmanned aerial vehicles, or UAVs, also commonly known as drones. These remotely piloted aircraft have revolutionized modern warfare, allowing American forces to strike targets with precision from thousands of miles away. The MQ-9 Reaper, a hunter-killer drone armed with laser-guided bombs and Hellfire missiles, has become a symbol of American might. On the ground, American troops are equipped with some of the most advanced weaponry in the world. The M1 Abrams main battle tank, a 68-ton behemoth of steel and composite armor, is the backbone of the U.S. Army's armored forces. With its 120mm smoothbore cannon and ability to withstand hits from all but the most advanced anti-tank weapons, the Abrams is a formidable presence on any battlefield. Alongside it rolls the Bradley fighting vehicle, a versatile troop carrier armed with a 25mm autocannon and Tau anti-tank missiles capable of delivering soldiers to the front lines and providing fire support in the heat of battle. But the American military might extend far beyond its hardware. The true strength of the U.S. Armed Forces lies in the skill and dedication of its personnel. Through rigorous selection processes and grueling training programs developed over decades of combat experience, America's military professionals have set global standards for excellence. Navy SEALs endure the infamous Hell Week, where they face extreme sleep deprivation and physical challenges in freezing water, with only about 25% making it through. Army Rangers push through the punishing mountain phase of their training in the Georgia mountains, where they learn to fight and survive in the most challenging terrain. Behind these frontline operators, skilled maintenance crews work around the clock in extreme conditions, from scorching desert heat to Arctic cold, mastering complex systems through years of specialized training and practical experience. This unwavering commitment to excellence, forged through countless hours of training and real-world operations, has created a force where American soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines stand among the best trained and most professional in the world. This human capital is the product of a rigorous training regimen that begins on the first day of boot camp and never truly ends. From the grueling physical demands of the Navy SEALs Hell Week to the intense mental challenges of the Air Force's survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. SEER School, American troops are forged in the crucible of adversity, emerging as hardened warriors, ready to face any challenge. America's natural defenses, geography as an ally. While America's military prowess forms an intimidating shield, Mother Nature herself stands as an ancient and unyielding guardian of U.S. sovereignty. In the grand game of geopolitics, geography is often the ace up a nation's sleeve, and few countries have been dealt a better hand than the United States. Blessed with a unique set of natural defenses, America has long enjoyed a level of security that is the envy of nations around the world. At the heart of this geographic advantage lies the vast expanse of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, which serve as formidable buffer zones against potential invaders. These great bodies of water stretch for thousands of miles in either direction, with their sheer size and scope presenting a daunting challenge to any would-be attacker. But America's geographic advantages don't end at the water's edge. Once ashore, an invading force would find itself confronted with a vast and varied landscape that presents its own unique set of challenges. From the rugged peaks of the Rocky Mountains to the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, the American mainland is a patchwork of natural barriers that would make any advance a grueling and costly endeavor. In the West, the Rockies serve as a formidable wall, their towering peaks and narrow passes providing a natural defense against any force attempting to push inland from the coast. An invader would have to contend not only with the physical challenges of the terrain, but with the determined resistance of American forces, who would no doubt use the mountains to their advantage, launching hit-and-run attacks and ambushes from the high ground. To the east, the Appalachian Mountains present a similar obstacle, their forested slopes and winding valleys providing ample cover for American troops to wage a guerrilla-style campaign against any invading force. The dense woodlands of the region have long been a haven for American patriots, from the days of the Revolutionary War to the present, and any enemy seeking to push through the mountains would have to contend with a determined and highly mobile resistance. But perhaps the most daunting challenge for any invader would be the sheer size of the American landmass. With over 3.8 million square miles of territory to defend, the United States presents a logistical nightmare for any force seeking to occupy and control the country. The vast distances involved would stretch supply lines to the breaking point, making it difficult for an invader to maintain the momentum of their advance and leaving them vulnerable to counterattack from American forces. And then, there are the deserts of the American Southwest, vast expanses of arid wilderness that would pose a unique set of challenges for any invading force. With temperatures routinely soaring above 100 degrees Fahrenheit and water sources few and far between, the deserts would quickly take their toll on any army seeking to push inland from the coast. The harsh conditions would sap the strength of even the most seasoned troops, while the wide open spaces would leave them exposed to attack from American aircraft and long-range artillery. But America's geographic advantages extend beyond its physical landscape. The country is also blessed with a network of allies and partners that provide an additional layer of security and support. To the north, Canada has long been a stalwart friend and ally, its shared border with the United States, a symbol of the deep ties between the two nations. Any invader seeking to attack the U.S. from the north would first have to contend with the formidable Canadian Armed Forces, whose training and equipment are among the best in the world. To the south, Mexico presents a more complex picture, with a history of tensions and conflicts that have at times strained the relationship between the two countries. But in recent years, the US and Mexico have worked to build a more cooperative and mutually beneficial partnership, with a focus on combating drug trafficking, promoting economic development, and strengthening regional security. This growing partnership provides an additional buffer against any potential threat from the south, making it all the more difficult for an invader to gain a foothold on the American mainland. Guardians of sky and sea, the US's technological dominance. But before any invasion fleet could even approach American shores, they would first have to contend with something far more formidable than sheer numbers: an intricate defense network of cutting-edge technology that extends from the depths of the oceans to the edge of space itself. In the realm of modern warfare, technology reigns supreme, and nowhere is this more evident than in the skies above and the waters below. At the heart of this dominance lies a network of advanced early detection systems, from satellites orbiting high above the Earth to sophisticated radar installations scattered across the globe. These systems form the first line of defense for the United States, providing real-time intelligence on potential threats and enabling a rapid response to any incursion. The capabilities of these systems are truly awe-inspiring. Take, for example, the Space-Based Infrared System, or SBIRS, a constellation of satellites designed to detect the heat signature of ballistic missile launches from anywhere on the planet. With its advanced sensors and real-time data processing, SBIRS can alert American forces to an incoming attack within seconds, giving them precious time to mount a defense. The system proved its worth during Iran's January 2020 missile attack on U.S. forces at Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq. SBIRS detected the launch of more than a dozen Iranian ballistic missiles, providing crucial early warning that allowed American troops to take shelter in bunkers before the missiles struck. This advance notice potentially saved hundreds of lives and demonstrated how space-based early warning systems have become vital to protecting American forces worldwide. The evolution of drone warfare has given the United States unprecedented ability to track and eliminate threats wherever they emerge. The technology proved devastatingly effective in the hunt for high-value targets, as demonstrated in the precision strike that eliminated al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri in Afghanistan in 2022. These unmanned systems can loiter for hours or even days over target areas, gathering intelligence and striking with surgical precision when needed. Their persistent surveillance capabilities mean that potential adversaries can no longer easily hide or move undetected, whether in remote mountain ranges or dense urban environments. This combination of patience, precision, and reach has transformed modern warfare, creating a powerful deterrent for any force contemplating action against American interests. But perhaps the most impressive display of American technological might can be found on the high seas. The U.S. Navy, with its vast array of ships, submarines, and aircraft, is a force to be reckoned with, capable of projecting power across the globe at a moment's notice. At the heart of this power projection capability are the Navy's aircraft carriers, those floating cities that serve as the backbone of American naval power. With their complements of fighter jets, attack helicopters, and surveillance aircraft, these carriers are capable of launching devastating strikes against any adversary, all while remaining safely out of reach of most enemy weapons. And then there are the submarines, those silent hunters of the deep that have become an integral part of the Navy's arsenal. With their advanced sonar systems and powerful torpedoes, these vessels are capable of tracking and destroying enemy ships and submarines with ease, all while remaining virtually undetectable. But the U.S. Navy's technological edge extends far beyond its hardware. Its crews undergo some of the world's most demanding training programs, shaped by decades of combat experience and continuous refinement. Nuclear submarine operators, for instance, complete an intensive 2-year training program at the Navy's Nuclear Power School, mastering complex physics and engineering before they ever touch a reactor. Surface warfare officers must prove their expertise through rigorous qualification processes, learning to navigate through treacherous waters and handle crisis scenarios in advanced bridge simulators. Even the newest sailors undergo specialized training in damage control and firefighting at realistic shipboard facilities, preparing them for the worst scenarios at sea. Combined with cutting-edge communications and data processing technology, this exhaustive training enables crews to coordinate complex operations across vast distances, maintaining a level of situational awareness that is unmatched by any other force on the planet. This combination of advanced technology and human skill is what makes the U.S. Navy such a formidable adversary. Any nation seeking to challenge American power on the high seas would need to contend not only with the Navy's vast array of ships and aircraft, but with the skill and determination of its crews. And then there is the question of supply lines. In any prolonged conflict, the ability to keep an invading force supplied with food, fuel, and ammunition is critical to success. But the U.S. Navy's control of the world's oceans makes this a daunting task for any would-be invader. With its ability to interdict enemy shipping lanes and cut off vital supplies, the Navy could quickly turn the tables on an invading force, starving it of the resources it needs to sustain its advance. With its network of bases and allies around the world, the Navy could keep American forces supplied and reinforced indefinitely, all while denying the enemy the same advantage. The nuclear shadow, mutually assured destruction. Yet for all its technological marvels and conventional military might, America's ultimate deterrent lies in a force so devastating that its mere existence has reshaped human history itself. In the annals of human history, few weapons have cast a longer or darker shadow than the nuclear bomb. With its awesome destructive power and the specter of radioactive fallout, the nuclear weapon has come to symbolize the ultimate expression of mankind's capacity for self-destruction. For the United States, the possession of a vast nuclear arsenal has long been a cornerstone of its national defense strategy. With thousands of warheads at its disposal, the U.S. has the ability to unleash a level of destruction that is almost beyond comprehension, capable of reducing entire cities to ash and rendering vast swaths of territory uninhabitable for generations. But the true power of the U.S. nuclear arsenal lies not in its use, but in its mere existence. The principle of mutually assured destruction, or MAD, has long been the bedrock of American nuclear policy, a grim calculus that has helped to maintain an uneasy peace between the world's great powers for more than half a century. At its core, MAD is a simple concept: the knowledge that any nuclear attack would be met with an overwhelming response, one that would leave both the attacker and the defender utterly devastated. It is a doctrine born of the Cold War, a time when the United States and the Soviet Union stood on the brink of nuclear annihilation, each possessing enough warheads to destroy the other many times over. However, the role of nuclear weapons in American defense policy has always been a controversial one. Critics argue that the very existence of these weapons poses an unacceptable risk to humanity, and that their use, even in self-defense, would be an act of unimaginable barbarity. They point to the horrific consequences of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, where hundreds of thousands of civilians were incinerated in an instant. Others, however, argue that the possession of nuclear weapons has been essential to maintaining global stability in the face of rising tensions and regional conflicts. They point to the fact that, despite the proliferation of nuclear weapons in the decades since World War II, no nation has dared to use them in anger, showing the effectiveness of the MAD doctrine. However, the risks associated with nuclear weapons are not limited to their use in war. The very existence of these weapons poses a constant threat to global security, with the ever-present danger of accidents, miscalculations, or unauthorized launches. The U.S. has gone to great lengths to ensure the safety and security of its nuclear arsenal, with multiple layers of safeguards and fail-safes designed to prevent any unauthorized use. A nation under arms, military prowess, and civilian resolve. While the shadow of nuclear weapons looms large over any potential conflict, there exists an equally powerful deterrent that cannot be measured in megatons or missile counts: the indomitable will of the American people themselves. The United States military, a force without equal, stands as a bulwark against aggression, its ranks filled with men and women of unwavering courage and unmatched skill. From the lightning-fast liberation of Kuwait during Operation Desert Storm to the precise surgical strikes of the Gulf War, American troops have proven their mettle time and again, adapting to every challenge with grit and ingenuity. During Desert Storm, U.S. forces demonstrated their overwhelming superiority by defeating Saddam Hussein's Iraqi army, then the world's fourth-largest military force, in just 100 hours of ground combat, showcasing the lethal combination of advanced technology, superior training, and tactical innovation. But the true strength of the American people lies not only in its professional soldiers, but in the legions of civilians who stand ready to take up arms in defense of their nation. In a country where the right to bear arms is enshrined in the Constitution, where gun ownership is woven into the very fabric of society, an invader would face not just a military adversary, but a population armed and ready to resist. With nearly 400 million civilian-owned firearms, representing about 46% of all civilian-held firearms worldwide, the American populace maintains an unprecedented level of defensive capability. The statistics are staggering. Approximately 120 firearms exist for every 100 American residents, with roughly 42% of households having at least one firearm. To put this in a global perspective, the United States stands uniquely armed among nations. While countries like Yemen, Serbia, and Switzerland also have significant civilian firearm ownership, their numbers pale in comparison. The U.S. has more civilian-owned firearms than the next 25 countries combined. By comparison, Canada has about 34.7 firearms per 100 residents, France has 19.6, and Germany has 19.5. Even traditionally gun-friendly societies like Finland and Sweden have only about 32.4 and 23.1 firearms per 100 people respectively. This disparity extends to Asia, where despite their large populations, countries like China and India have extremely low civilian firearm ownership rates of less than 5 per 100 residents. This armed citizenry, protected by the Second Amendment and supported by state and federal laws governing firearm ownership, represents a unique aspect of American society. From rural communities where hunting and marksmanship are passed down through generations, to urban areas where citizens train in defensive tactics, millions of Americans maintain proficiency with firearms through regular practice, training courses, and shooting sports. This culture of responsible gun ownership, combined with the sheer number of armed citizens, creates an additional layer of national security that any potential adversary must consider. War games, scenarios for a global invasion. This combination of military prowess and armed populace has created such an imposing defensive challenge that it has spawned an entire genre of theoretical warfare, the art of imagining the impossible. In the shadowy realm of military strategy, where the fate of nations hangs in the balance, potential adversaries like China and Russia present distinct challenges. China's advantages lie in its massive manufacturing base, vast manpower reserves, and advanced missile systems that could threaten U.S. carrier groups. However, its lack of combat experience and limited amphibious capabilities would severely hamper any invasion attempt across the Pacific. Russia, despite its extensive arsenal of nuclear weapons and advanced air defense systems, faces significant limitations in power projection across oceans. While its expertise in hybrid warfare and electronic warfare could disrupt U.S. communications, its aging navy and limited logistics capability make a conventional invasion virtually impossible. The geographic isolation of the United States, protected by two vast oceans, means any potential invader would face enormous logistical challenges before even reaching American shores. While Canada and Mexico's borders might seem vulnerable, neither country possesses the military infrastructure that would support a large-scale invasion. and their strong economic ties to the US make such scenarios highly unlikely. Perhaps the most feasible threat would be a coordinated attack by a coalition of powers, combining China's industrial might, Russia's electronic warfare capabilities, and potentially other nations' regional bases. Yet, even this nightmare scenario would face America's layered defense systems, superior air power, and the world's most advanced naval fleet before reaching US territory. The folly of invasion, America's unassailable position. Yet every simulation, every war game, every theoretical invasion plan inevitably leads to the same sobering realization. Despite the best efforts of military strategists and would-be conquerors, the reality remains that the United States is simply too large, too powerful, and too well defended to be successfully invaded by any foreign power. The combination of factors that make America so formidable is truly staggering. Its vast size and strategic depth, its advanced military technology and highly trained fighting force, its nuclear deterrent and global network of alliances, all of these elements come together to create a fortress that is all but impregnable. But perhaps the most important factor of all is the indomitable spirit of the American people themselves. Forged in the crucible of war and tempered by centuries of struggle, Americans are a people who will never submit to foreign domination and who will fight to the last breath in defense of their freedom and way of life. Any nation that would contemplate an invasion of the United States would do well to heed the lessons of history. From the British Empire to the Axis powers of World War II, countless adversaries have tried and failed to bring America to its knees. All have been humbled by the strength and resilience of the American people, and all have paid a terrible price for their hubris. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.